Hello. It is, the first week of April, so it's time to record a little March recap. I just got married. Very exciting. March was very busy, but one of the best months of my life, so very happy with that. Even though it was very busy, I did have time to read a number of books. I finished 5 books. Again, continuing the trend of this year where I would read kind of a chunker and then a bunch of smaller young adult or middle grade books. I've enjoyed all of them so far. This has been probably the best start of any reading year I've ever had, where I just feel like I'm on a roll, and I am continuing that already. I'll talk about what I'm currently reading in April and what I plan to read in April uh, at the tail end of this video. But let's just jump right into it. I want to make this one pretty quick recap because even though I'm not on an official honeymoon, I'm still away for the week. I'm off of work. So I want to relax and enjoy it. If the lighting changes a lot, it's because I'm at a window. My apartment where I normally record actually doesn't have windows. Windows in the bedrooms, which I think is maybe a little illegal. I'm not sure. But I'm at a very bright place, so the lighting might change a little bit. But starting it off, the first book I finished in March was actually A Wrinkle in Time. March, part of my goal in March was to find the final novel that I was going to teach my sixth graders for this year. I made my decision actually, but you'll see it near the end of the video. A Wrinkle in Time, classic obviously, but it wasn't my favorite read. Maybe because that was color, because of how I was thinking about it. I was busy thinking, would my students enjoy it? Would they actually understand it? What kind of lessons could I do with it? And that did distract me while I was reading it. But for the most part, I did enjoy it. I did think that it was maybe a little bit too confusing for my students, so I did kind of shy away from it. Would I continue with the series? Probably not. It's not really my cup of tea. I don't really have much to say about it other than it is a classic. I'm glad that I read it, but I don't think I will continue it. When I was giving scores to it originally, I gave it a B. It's a solid B for me. Maybe even veering into a C range because I haven't really thought about it since I finished it. And I finished it, I think, like the first day of March because it's very short. It's middle grade again. But yeah, haven't really thought much about it. I apologize for that, but it was just a book for me. But then the second book that I finished, it has its own little review on the channel. Please check it out. The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. I still stand by the fact that it is going to be probably one of my favorite books this year. Probably one of my favorite reads. It is an A+ for me. I love the tone, the mood. I love the characters. Just how creepy everything was. How really just ugly the world was, but I just enjoyed it. The mystery was plausible. The mystery was something that kept me on edge. But really, again, the crowning moment of this novel were the two main characters. So if you love a little Sherlock Holmes and Watson, please read The Tainted Cup. I think it's going to be on a lot of people's short list for best fantasy and best debut, or best, not debut, but best new release of the year. At the end of the year, I wouldn't be surprised if I keep it in my top 3, but unfortunately, maybe not number 1, and you'll see it in a little bit. After The Tainted Cup, moving through this again pretty quickly, don't need a long recap for this month. After The Tainted Cup, I finished Bridge to Terabithia, which actually will be the novel that I teach to my sixth graders this year. I haven't read it. When I finished it, that was the first time that I read it since I was probably in sixth grade or maybe even fifth grade. I can't even remember now. And I loved it. I was warned by my mentor, maybe, stay away from this novel. Because why do we always read sad stuff to kids? Maybe I should find something happier, but I still really enjoyed it. I think while I was reading it, I was, for the first time in my life, again, I read it a long time ago when I was however old in fifth grade or sixth grade, which 10 or 11. But I was really caught off guard by how much I really was moved by the father in the story. Like I felt really bad for him, more so than anybody else, which is just an odd way to look at this book, because normally if you know anything about Bridge to Terabithia, I'm not going to spoil it, even though it's like, what, 40 something years old. I'm still not going to spoil it, but if you know anything about it, it's normally not the father that people think about in the story. They normally think about the two kids. But I was still greatly moved by this story. I think my students are going to enjoy it a lot um, up until a certain point. But as I was reading it again, same thing in Wrinkle in Time. I don't really have too many thoughts about it currently because I'm still building my lessons with it. But as I was reading it, the lessons that I was thinking about, um, I was more easily able to focus on them and imagine them, and the projects that I had in mind. I was able to just think about those as well. So it edged out Wrinkle in Time and it edged out the other books that I had in mind as well. So really happy with that. I'll probably have like a little update about it, um, like after the school year. Maybe that's something I can do, like talk about all the books that I have taught or uh, am currently teaching. That might be something that I do. But Bridge to Terabithia, I gave it an A when I was scoring everything. I loved it. I think it's going to be interesting to see how my kids react to it. After that, I actually had a book club read. I skipped. I'm in two book clubs. I skipped one. The one that I skipped was Howl's Moving Castle, just because I've already read it. And again, I got married in March. Even though I was fairly busy, I had a lot of time to read, but I didn't want to reread anything. So the other book that I read for another book club on the Fantasy Networks book club was, and I always get this title wrong, Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead. I always change it up a little bit. I had a lot of fun with this book. I don't know if I loved it. It's a very tough read, at least for me. The main character has a lot of spiraling thoughts about death and loneliness and anxiety. So maybe it was a little bit too relatable for me and my spiraling thoughts at times. But it was fun. um, it was definitely different. Different. I thought I can't remember who wrote it. I didn't write that down. I don't have any of the books with me actually, but the author did a great job with our main character and how alive she felt, and really she did a great job writing about anxiety and writing about those spiraling thoughts, and really everything felt very alive, very real. Um, and even though the subject matter is very dark at times, I laughed a lot in this book. It is somewhat of a comedy, a dark comedy, I guess is the best way of putting it. I liked it. It was a solid read. I am interested. I saw that my sister marked another one of the author's books as a TBR. So I might check out. I think it was just published actually, like a week ago. I might check out more of her work. Oh, Emily Austin, that's the name. Emily Austin, um, very just witty writer as well. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it though. I think it would be impossible for me to love this book, but I still scored it pretty highly. Um, I think it's going to also end up maybe my top 10 at the end of the year. Definitely a book that will show up on a couple of people's list. I think a number of us liked it in the Discord. But the final book that I read in the month, I kind of feel bad for reading it. Actually, I wasn't supposed to. I really wanted March to be the month of the Tainted Cup because it was an A+ read for me. I do think it's going to be somewhere in my top three even at the end of the year. Oh, I just realized my wedding band is showing. Yes, I again was just married. But I feel bad for reading this book. I didn't plan on it. I thought I was going to be too busy at the end of the month, but I actually finished it the day after my wedding. I read about 200 pages of it right after getting married. We weren't doing anything in the morning or in the afternoon, so I just read, 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 and read. That is Morning Star by Pierce Brown, the final book in the original trilogy of Red Rising. Um, I will have a complete wrap up on the entire trilogy coming out this month, actually in April. I'm still collecting my thoughts, but I struggle with finishing the series, even if it's a series that I am absolutely adoring, because I like to move on to other things. I can't help it. My thoughts just go everywhere. My attention goes elsewhere. But to me, there's no weak book in the series in the trilogy. Um, I loved all of the characters, even if I hated them. I know that doesn't make sense. I wanted to love to hate them, if that makes sense. The characters were the best part, I think, in this trilogy. I grew to love so many of them. I grew to hate so many of them. I was rooting for a number of them. I had tears in my eyes at a number of parts. I think I was, pardon my French, but I was pissed at the end of Morningstar because I thought something was happening. And you know, I'm not an original reader. I know that there's more to the series that, Pierce Brown does. And I was like, there's no way he's about to do this. And we're about to, if you know, you know. But everything was just perfect for me at the end. I'm definitely going to continue this series. Um, with the other books. I don't know when that will happen. I think more so at the end of the year, like in the fall. Once I get like a confirmation of when the last book is going to come out, I think that's when I'll start with the second half of the series that continues the story. But excellent, excellent, excellent. I wish it didn't take me so long to read it, but maybe I'm reading it at the right time, the perfect time for me. But it was fantastic. I gave each and every one of the books in the trilogy 5 stars or A+ scores. I think it's gonna become one of my all-time favorite series. In fact, I think it might actually be my all-time favorite series because I don't finish a lot of series, but I finished this one. But I'm excited to continue it. I am as I said, I think in a little writing review, I plan on talking about more in the future. But again, I am a howler for life now. I'm excited to continue. But coming up in April, I actually plan on posting a little bit more in April because I am going to compete, I guess is the right word, in the Reddit Fantasy Bingo. So I do have some books for that that I will talk about. But my to be read in April, going to keep it short because I don't know what I want to read in April. There aren't a lot of books that I have to read because I'm kind of done with school. I think my book club that I'm in with the Pokemon crew, they chose Sword of Kaigen, and I'm definitely going to read it because it also fulfills a little square on the Fantasy Bingo for self-published. And I've always wanted to read it. It's been on my shelf for like 3 years. So I'm excited to read that. I will be reading that. I will be also reading, I think it's titled, it's for the other book club, How High We Go in the Dark. I'm going to read that as well. So that's 2 book club reads. And then a read just for myself. I am actually currently reading The Other Valley by Scott Alexander Howard, I believe is his name. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm about 70% of the way through. And I might actually post a review for it because it also fulfills a fantasy bingo. But that's all I got for April. I'll let those books shouldn't take too long, so I'll let the end of the month just kind of be what I want to read, what I'm feeling at the time. It is getting close to the end of the school year, so I might be a little busy or a little stressed. We'll see. But that's all I got. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you're reading or what you plan on reading, and I'll see everybody in the next video. That's all I got. Peace.